Hello, Dallas Christian in Dallas, Texas, which is just down the road from me. And also, hello, Jackson Christian in Jackson, Tennessee, which is technically, I guess, down the road, but way, way, way down the road. You may not know each other, but what you have in common this morning is we're all having this conversation. So welcome to the talk. Your world is kind of nuts right now, right? I have no doubt you are tired of hearing grown-ups say that to you. You're tired of hearing adults tell you how crazy life is. But the truth is, your lives have changed. You don't need me at all to tell you about how crazy it is. You probably could tell me more about how crazy your life is right now than I could tell you. So I want to do something this morning with our time together that is a little bit different. And I think probably more important. You know what you're going through right now. You know what the world looks like right now. So I want to talk for just a few minutes this morning about what to do now. If you are watching this video, you are likely in middle school or in high school. That's a challenging time anyway. Even without all the craziness that we've got going on right now, that's a challenging time with a lot of tough issues. But it's also a great time. It's a time where you make memories and where you develop friendships. And those memories and friendships really matter. You may feel like everything that's happened in the past 6 months has taken that away from you. I get it. I totally understand. You may feel cheated. You may feel angry. You may feel frustrated, and you may feel all kinds of crazy stuff. We've all felt that way at times over the course of the last 6 months or so, 6 or 7 months. The reason for that is because a lot of things have changed. But there's another reason that you may be unaware of. And I want to talk for just a few minutes this morning about the other reason that you've experienced so much stuff lately. And that reason is because you, like me and every other person walking around today, we have something called a negativity bias. That means that our brains tend to overemphasize the negative things in life. They tend to overemphasize the negative interactions we have, and they tend to underemphasize the positive things. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about so that maybe you'll understand. You ever been at school and had somebody say something hurtful to you, or maybe said something embarrassing that you later regretted? My guess is that when you went home that day, the negative conversation that you had or the negative thing that was said to you stuck in your brain. It probably followed you around most of the evening. You thought about it, you focused on it. Maybe you said something in front of somebody that you really wanted to impress, and you said something super embarrassing. You probably remember that. The reason I say you probably remember that is because I still remember that at my age about saying things at like 13, 14, 15 years old that were mortifying. But my guess is, like me and like most other people, on moments when that happened, you went home and you focused on it and you replayed it and it stuck in your head. And while you were doing that, you probably forgot about the 100 conversations you had that day that were good. The jokes with your friends, the conversations at lunch. We have a weird tendency as people. The good stuff in our brains gets pushed out when we feel bad stuff, and then we focus on the bad stuff. So the good, the pile of good gets moved aside so that we can focus on the one negative or the two negatives. And that can make us feel at times like things in the world are even worse than they already are, because we're not counting the blessings. We're not counting the gifts. We're not counting the positive interactions. Like I said, when we're at home replaying negative conversations, we're not thinking about all the good ones we had that day. Throughout your life, you will always have to be aware of your tendency to do exactly what I described this morning. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It's just kind of the way our brains work. It's actually one of the ways in which our brains try to keep us safe. I know that sounds weird, but the point is that there's nothing wrong with having a negativity bias. We all do. The thing is, we need to know that our brains are prone to this behavior, and then we need to know what to do with it. So what do? We have to make a choice, and this choice is more important for you today. As I stand here in my office at the end of August in 2020, it's more important today. This choice that I'm going to describe is more important today than it's ever been. In my lifetime, and my guess is for you, yours as well. The choice is you have to be intentional about choosing to focus on good things. We make a choice to talk about good things. Right now, there are a lot of people talking nonstop about all the bad things in this world. You know why? Because of our negativity bias, negativity just gets our attention. We're more drawn to negativity than we are to positivity. We all say, you probably heard all of us adults complain about how the news is always bad. Well, because when they say good stuff, you turn the channel. Like when they have happy stories, nobody watches those. Nobody watches stories about puppies and kittens. We watch the bad stuff though. Something's on fire, you got my attention. Cute puppy on the news, probably not going to watch that one. I don't know, maybe your social media looks different than my news consumption. It probably does. But the idea is the same, that negativity tends to get our attention. When the media focuses on all the ways in which our culture is divided, we pay attention to that. When stories come out giving us grim, dark, scary news about the coronavirus, we pay attention to that. Now, look, that's not to say that those stories aren't important. They certainly are. Adults who are making decisions about school and about church and about businesses and communities certainly need to be aware of what's happening in terms of the virus. And we all need to be aware of what's happening in the culture as a whole. So I'm not saying that stories on negativity are inherently bad, but there is something important for you right now at the stage of life that you are in. Dallas Christian students, Jackson Christian students, the stage of life that you are in, your job is to be a middle school student or to be a high school student. That's your job. Your job is to grow. Your job is to enjoy your life. Your job is to develop relationship skills and life skills. Your job is to mature your faith into something that will last into adulthood. One of the ways that you can do that is by learning to focus your mind on the things that benefit you, to train yourself to see what's right in the world. Yes, I have a clinical background. I am a therapist. But what I just described is not a clinical idea. In fact, it goes back a really long ways. The Apostle Paul talks about this exact idea of focusing on the good. He talks about it in the book of Philippians. He tells us not to be anxious. Anxious is a big word because it's how a lot of people in our culture right now feel. We feel anxious. Anxiety is one of the most crippling issues that I deal with on a day-to-day basis with people in my office. Is people struggling with anxiety. So let's pick up a little bit of reading in Philippians. I'm going to be in Philippians chapter 4. I'm going to start reading in verse 6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So right out of the gate, Paul gives us step one in not feeling anxiety, and that's we got to pray. Whatever you're worried about, whatever you fear, whatever's making you anxious today, pray. Pray for God's comfort, pray for his guidance, pray for his peace. And then we get to verse 8. Verse 8 is a really powerful takeaway for us today. I'm going to read in verse 8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. I love this verse. It's one of my favorite verses in the Bible. I think all of us could stand to recite it every morning. It would change the news that we listen to. It would change what social media accounts we follow, what texts we send, what texts we respond to, who we hang out with, and then what we talk about when we're hanging out with those people. Spend your time with what is true, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy. Spend your time in positivity. If you're in middle school and high school right now, it's more important for you to hear this now than it's ever been. Focus on good things. Surround yourself with good things. Go through your social media accounts and unfollow or mute people who don't fall into these categories. I realize that you can't evaluate somebody based on a single post. We're all prone to posting things when we have a bad day that's super negative. I get it. But maybe look at the totality of the social media accounts that you follow. Look over the course of a month. Are you following people who do nothing but complain? People who do nothing but point out what's wrong with the world, or point out why we should all be angry at each other, or why we should all hate each other, or where the division should be, or why we should all be petrified and none of us should ever leave the house. Unfollow, mute. You don't have to bring that negativity into your life. You can find that information without the negativity that comes by following a whole bunch of people who crowd our social media space with negativity. Let's make it a bit more personal. Do you have friends who talk about nothing other than the bad stuff? Change the subject. Point to something good. Point the conversation to something good. And if that doesn't work, honestly, maybe spend less time with friends who can't seem to talk about anything other than bad stuff. Things are hard right now. I understand. I really do. I legitimately understand that things are hard right now. We're all kind of going through a similar experience. It looks different to each one of us individually, but we're all having a hard time right now. You as young people are the people that my heart goes out to the most. I work with families and I work with people of all ages, but you as young people, especially in the secondary level, my heart goes out to you more so than almost anybody else in this culture right now, because this is a time in your life where most of your life happens outside your home, and you've been home a lot lately. My heart breaks for the things that you've lost, but you haven't lost everything. There's still an awful lot of good in this world. There are a lot of blessings in your life, and blessings that if you choose to focus on will benefit you immensely. When you really try to focus on those blessings, when you really try to focus on those benefits, you will find that there are more blessings in your life than bad things, way more. You just don't give them nearly as much of your mental energy. The world's a good place. The world's a beautiful place. We're surrounded by blessings, but we're more interested in the problems. We go back to Paul's words: whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, click on those things. Whoever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy, spend time with those people. The culture we're living in can take away your routines. It can take away the things that you really enjoy doing. It can completely alter our society, and it can change how we function from day to day. But if you choose today to focus on the good in the world, to focus on all the good around you, it can't take away your happiness. You can't lose your joy, because joy isn't found on the outside. It exists on the inside. And once you realize that, I promise, your life can change. So the question I have for you today is not about what you've lost. My question for you today is, how many things can you find in your life and in your school that are going to make this a really great year for you? What are the best things happening to you right now? Where can you find good right now? That is where you need to spend your time and where you need to put your focus.